Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rabbi Mendel Blecher, the rabbi of the Chabad of the Woodlands, and we're gathered here today for the service and funeral of Sylvia Brodowski, Sipora Bat Chaim, Sipora, the daughter of Chaim. We start off the funeral service with the kriya. The kriya is a Hebrew word. It means we make a tear. In Judaism, we validate emotions at every time of life, not just happy emotions at a celebration of a bar mitzvah or a wedding, but also the sad parts of life when there's loss, when we're grieving. In the Jewish tradition, we don't have to be stoic, we don't have to be strong, we don't have to put on a facade in the sad parts of life. We validate every emotion, and we validate the loss in a visible way, in a tangible way. And so we start off with the kriya. The kriya is tearing, and that is done by the children and the siblings of the deceased. They will come up, I'll ask them to come up, and the children, Ralph, Sheila, and Deborah, that are here today. David is with us in spirit, and so they will do the tearing on the left side, closer to the heart, because they are the children, and the siblings will do it on the right side. The tradition is to do it on an actual garment, something that goes on top, which you're ready to tear, and this is something to show that this is very real, that we have a loss, there's a tear in our lives, there's a tear in our family, and it's very real, and the pain is real right now, and we extend our blessings of comfort that as we go on, Sylvia lives on in our hearts, not forgotten, but the pain of the loss will subside with time, as King Solomon promises us and tells us that time has a way of doing its things. The famous saying comes from King Solomon. So I'll ask the children and the siblings to come up, with somebody to assist them if necessary, and they will make a blessing afterwards, and I will explain the meaning of the blessing. You want to do the short or the short? So we started off with this is your left side. Make it just give it a good touch. There you go. We'll make the
Rabbi, will you show
Rachel?
I'll
show Rachel. So on the left side, just hold the head a little bit. Stop. Oh, you try to scissor it. Have the head. And yeah. And then tear it like 4 inches. And you'll stay here, and I'll make the blessing together with you.
Oh, wait, the rabbi's got
Okay. Sure. Okay. Yes, so you do it on the left side. What do you want to do? Do you want to do this? Sure. Okay. So, what do you want? And then stand here together with me. We will now make the blessing, the traditional Jewish blessing. We make a blessing of, you're probably all familiar with the Shehecheyanu. When good news comes, when a festival comes, we have a blessing for a happy occasion, and we also have a blessing for loss and for grieving at a time like this. The blessing translates to, in English, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who is the true judge," because we affirm at this moment when we are in pain and we have questions, why do we have to have a loss? Why do we have to grieve? Why do people have to pass on? Why was life difficult? Why was there suffering? Why did a person not have a happy life all the way 100% of the time? And nobody has a happy life 100% of the time. But we affirm at a time like this that God is the true judge, and we accept and suspend our judgment of we are just a flesh and blood to the judgment of the Creator of all of us, who knows the mystery and the destiny of each of our lives. Repeat after me. Baruch,
Baruch
Atah,
Atah
Adonai,
Adonai
Eloheinu,
Eloheinu
Melech,
Melech
Ha'olam,
Ha'olam
Dayan,
Dayan
Ha'emet.
Ha'emet.
Amen.
Amen.
During this service, we read some psalms, and it's gratifying to see that we have a large crowd here today. I apologize that some of these take a walk after funerals sometimes, so please share with somebody else if you would like to do the reading. I will do some of the or you can just listen to the reading. I will alternate between Hebrew and English. If you are welcome to read along with me when I do the English, or just to listen to the Hebrew. I'm going to start in the booklet. It's on page number 9. I'm going to read Psalm 16 in the Hebrew. If you would like to read the translation follows, and then we will read Psalm 23 in the Hebrew and the English. Michtam leDavid, Shamreini ele ki chasisi vach, Amart l'Adonai Adonai ata tevasi bal alecha, L'kdoshim asher ba'eretz heima, V'adirei kol chefzivam, Yirbu atzveisam acher maharo, V'alasif niskeihem idam v'alesa es shmeisam al svasai, Adonai menaschel ki v'chesi, Ata teimich geirali, Chavalim naflu li bani imim, Afnachalas shafra alai, Abarei chesadinai asher yatzani, Afleiles yisruni chil yosei, Shivisi Adonai lenegdi samid, Ki mimini bal emet, V'chein samach libi, V'yogel kavodi, Ach besari yishgain lavetach, Ki leisazev nafshi l'shoeles yitin chasid chalireis shachas, Teiteini erechayim sevas maches es panecha ni'imais bimincha netzach. Psalm 23, first in the Hebrew, and then we'll read collectively in the English, which the English is on page 11. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo yachzor, b'nei stasha yarbitzeini, al mei menuchesin haleini, nafshi yishev yancheini v'maglei tzedek l'man shemoi, gam ki elech b'geit salmo ves le'irara ki ata imadi, shiftecha mishantecha heima yanachamuni, tarech lefanai shulcha neged tzereroi, Bishanta v'Hashem en reishi kaisi revaya, ach toi v'chasid yudafuni kol yimei chayoi, v'shafti b'veis Adonai, la'oirech yamim. A psalm by David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. He lays me down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He revives my soul. He directs me in the paths of righteousness for the sake of his name. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they will comfort me. You will prepare a table for me before my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup is full. Only goodness and kindness shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for many long years. Continue with Psalm 91. I'll read it in the Hebrew, and then we will read the English, and after that psalm we will do the eulogy and remarks for the family. This is page 13. Yoshev v'seisarel yen v'tel shadei islay no neymar ladinoi machsim utdosi l'hayavtach boi koyatzil chamipach yakush midavavois bevasi asechlach v'sachas knapach techsa tzina v'seicheira amitai v'sira mipachad loi lamichetzi av yemam midavra beiful yahaloich miketav yashut tzaraim peil mitzilcha elef urvava miminecha elecha layigash rak beinecha sabit v'shulo masir shoim tireh Kata dinay makse al yain samta meinacha leisa unay lachara v'negali krapa alecha ki malacha v'tzavelach lishmarcha b'chal drachecha al kapa yimisa uncha pentigayf b'aven raglecha al shacha b'chasantidre tirmais kavir v'sanin ki b'chashak b'apaltehu asagvehu ki yad ashmi Re'eni ve'anehu imayonaycha v'tzarach al tzehu v'achabtehu erech yamim asbi'ehu ve'arehu Yishu Asi. Translation on page 14. You who dwells in the shelter of the Most High, who abides in the shadow of the Omnipotent. I say of the Lord, who is my refuge and my stronghold, my God in whom I trust, that he will save you from the ensnaring trap, from the destructive pestilence. He will cover you with his pinions, and you will find refuge under his wings. His truth is a shield and an armor. You will not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day, the pestilence that prowls in the darkness, nor the destruction that ravages at noon. 1,000 may fall at your left side, and 10,000 at your right, but it shall not reach you. You need only look with your eyes, and you will see the retribution of the wicked. Because you have said, the Lord is my shelter, and you have made the Most High your haven. No evil will befall you, no plague will come near your tent. For he will instruct his angels in your behalf to guide you in all your ways. They will carry you in their hands, lest you injure your foot upon a rock. You will tread upon the lion and the viper. You will trample upon the young lion and the serpent. Because he desires me, I will deliver him. I will fortify him, for he knows my name. When he calls on me, I will answer him. I am with him in distress. I will deliver him and honor him. I will satiate him with long life and show him my deliverance. The sages of the Mishnah tell us, what is the litmus test? How do you know that someone finds favor in God's eyes? When they find favor in the eyes of their fellow man. Because in order to find favor in the eyes of your fellow man, you cannot have conceit, you cannot have ego, and you must be giving and kind. Having no ego, a sense of humility to our fellow man correlates to having a closeness of relationship with the Almighty, because if one is full of ego, they cannot relate with other people nor with the Almighty. And I think this very much sums up Sylvia Brodowski. From what I've heard from the family, from my little encounters with her, is that she is and was somebody who has truly found favor in the eyes of her fellow people, compassionate and kind. And on this note, I was fortunate that I didn't have to write up a speech, because David, her son, who is unable to be with us today, wrote a beautiful speech that I said to myself, the rabbi doesn't need to say anything more. And at his request and as his emissary, I will read David's words to all of us here today, which are beautiful words, very fitting for a very beautiful and fine and loving lady, Sylvia Brodowski of blessed memory. Our mother cared more about her family and her friends than she did for herself. Our mother loved to talk about her children, her family, and how proud she was of everyone. Our mother never wanted to talk about herself, but rather listen and learn about you. The Lord spoke in Isaiah 66:13, "As one whom his mother comforts, so I will comfort you. כאחד שאמו מנחמת, אז אני ינחם אותך." When we think about being at home, the first thing that comes to my mind is my mama. In our family, my mother was the foundation of comfort. She was the giver of all wonderful things such as food, praise, affection, support, and unconditional love. She always kept her word. The book of Proverbs 31:25 says, "She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come." היא לבושה בכוח ובכבוד, היא יכולה לצחוק בימים שיבואו. Mama was always there for her children, always selflessly caring for us. Proverbs 31:26 speaks of my mama when it says, "When she speaks with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. כאשר היא דוברת, היא מדברת בתבונה, והורת האדיבות היא על לשונו." As many of us grow older and life and time passes by, we often overlook and underappreciate Mama and the many sacrifices that she made for us. As we mature and become adults, we become more capable of appreciating our mother. This is when we connect with her and realize how special and wonderful she was and always will be. My mama was the very heart and soul of our family. Proverbs 31:31 says, "Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. כבדו אותה על כל מה שידיה עשו, והרשו לה לעשות שבחים בשער העיר." We should never forget to tell all of the people that we love how we feel about Mama, and as often as we can. Sometimes we simply forget, and sometimes we just assume that they already know how we feel. We tend to wonder if she really knew how much we loved her. But Sheila, Deborah, Ralph, and all of Mama's beautiful grandchildren, great-grandchildren, her family and friends, I'm sorry that I can't be with you this day. My brother and my sisters understand why, but through my brother and my sisters, this gives me the chance to express my love and gratitude for my mama and for all of you. Proverbs 31:28-29 says, "Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but thou hast surpassed them all." ילדיה מתרוממים וקוראים לה ברכה, גם בעלה, והוא מהלל אותה. נשים רבות עשו זאת מצוין, אבל הייתם כמולכם. As you go forth into the world, I pray that God will keep all of you, and that the love that my mama gave to us will comfort you and be in your heart for eternity. My heart is in heaven with you, Mama, and I love you. ליבי בגן עדן איתך, אמא, ואני אוהבת אותך, דוד. I can see in the family, and not just in the children, but in the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren, how these qualities are transmitted down through the generations in a beautiful way. At this point, I'm inviting members of the family to come up and say some words. The grandchildren and some other family members. First, I will ask Sean Miller to come up.
Thank you for that generous introduction, Rabbi. So, let me see. Can y'all hear me okay? Let's see. If I seem a little wired this morning, it's because in honor of Grandma, I had 6 cups of coffee that I got at McDonald's with a coupon that expired in 1997. So I want to thank everybody who's here today. I want to thank my mom and my Aunt Sheila and Uncle Ralph and Uncle David for those really moving words and putting on such a phenomenal service. And I want to thank the rabbi, even though he pronounced what's a very common name, as the funeral director can attest. And I think Grandma would love that, and she'd be so happy if she could be here today. Rabbi Dan's here too. I just noticed. Thank you for coming, Rabbi Dan. We all loved Grandma, and that's who she was to us. When somebody said Grandma, everybody knew it was Grandma. The family knew, all the friends knew. So many of my friends have reached out today and said that we're so sorry that Grandma's gone. She had such a generosity of spirit and a kindness and a loving, just pure, unadulterated love for her family, just an unbelievable warmth for, whomever should be speaking or whoever would come over. Anytime our friends would come over, she'd offer food, she'd sit there, she'd chat. There was nothing that she loved more in the world, and that's what I think so many of us remember about her. She was so fashionable. She'd always be dressed up a little bit Dolly Parton, a little bit old Jewish lady, always in her sexy jeans and her and she'd have those Skechers on, those Skecher shape-ups, just making sure to keep it tight. And she was so eloquent, the way she spoke. When my friends would meet her, everybody would ask, "Where's your grandmother from?" She had that elocution. It was so precise, and it was wonderful. But if there was one thing about Grandma that wasn't ladylike, and something that we both share, it's our sense of humor. There's nothing Grandma loved more than a dirty joke. And I remember specifically about a year ago, my mom knows what I'm going to talk about. About a year ago, we went to go pick her up and take her to lunch at Burger King because that was the closest thing they had to where she lived. And so we were sitting there, and Grandma goes, and at this point, Grandma couldn't even remember that I had moved back to Texas from Pennsylvania. She thought she didn't know where she was, and she said, "Oh, how's Carly?" She threw it off. She remembered my girlfriend Carly, and my mom goes, "Tell your grandmother what you did to Carly's poor mother." And what I'd done to Carly's poor mother was I had accidentally sent her an incredibly obscene picture over text. And whatever picture you're imagining, I can assure you was far more obscene than that. And Grandma started laughing so hard she was choking, and she couldn't help herself. She just lit up. All of a sudden, this energy that had been missing. She couldn't hold herself up in the car. We had to basically set her in the car. And all of a sudden, she was clutching herself, laughing, and said that, well, at least her mother knew it wasn't you because the pencil was too big. And that was Grandma. And as sad as this is, I'm so happy that, I got to say goodbye to her. I came by to visit her after work throughout the week last week, and Monday night I had the opportunity, which a lot of people didn't get, to sit alone with Grandma in her room for about 2 hours, and I held her hand and told her, everything that she meant to me, and we reminisced, and I read her Psalms and told her what she meant to me, and it was a very special opportunity and something for which I'm incredibly grateful. And at that point, Grandma couldn't couldn't talk back because she was all but gone. But her worker, Elena, that we owe such a debt of gratitude. Elena made sure that Grandma faced death with such a great dignity. She was always clean. Her skin looked immaculate. She couldn't have been in better hands. And Elena made sure that even as close to the end as Grandma was, she still had the same dignity that she carried herself with throughout life. And I remember about 2 weeks earlier when we first thought she was going to go, and Aunt Sheila sounded the alarm, and everyone came into town. I had come to visit Grandma, and we chatted a little, and she said, "Oh, when are you going back to school?" And I said, "Soon, Grandma," because she had forgotten that, I had graduated. And she said, "Are you going to be a rabbi?" And in true lawyer fashion, I stole my answer, and I told her, "No, I'm going to be a moil because I get to keep the tips." And she sat up in bed and laughed, and that was the last conversation I really got to have with Grandma. And I love her so much, and I'm going to miss her so much. So goodbye, Grandma.
Kevin Miller.
Hello everyone, can you hear me okay? Yeah. Thank you all for being here. Is it? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. I had a very wonderful relationship with my grandmother. Throughout the entire time I was in college, we emailed every day without missing a beat. And because of that, I know that even in her final days, she would always ask me how was school, whether I was in it or not. She couldn't help herself. But she also always remembered my fiancé David. She would ask me about him too, because Grandma, like Sean said, Grandma cared more about everyone else than she could ever have cared about herself. And she would always tell me, no matter how bad she might have been feeling, how weak she might have been, that she was always better because she heard from me. I know that's what she said to everybody, because that's really what she meant. She would say, "I'm always better because I heard from you today." And that was just Grandma. She's truly a woman that shaped my life, and I love her so much. And I just hope that she knows how much she was loved by me and by everyone here. She was a wonderful woman. She was a woman of pride, but of love more than anything. And I'll always remember her for who she was, with her denim jackets and her cowboy hat pins and her pantyhose under her jeans and her full face of makeup in 110-degree weather, because she was not going to let anybody see her any less. She's somebody I'm always going to treasure and cherish. And I know I told her this, and I know I've told many of you this, but all I ever wanted was for her to make it. I'm sorry. All I ever wanted was for her to make it to my wedding, because I wanted her to be there more than anything. I love her so much. And I know she knows that. And I'm going to miss her every day. Every single day. Thank you.
Matt Miller. Let me just add that everything that we say here now, Sylvia is aware of. Her soul is listening to all of these words, and she very much appreciates all of the love that we show her now, and it brings her a lot of comfort and peace.
Hello.
I'm not very good with words, and I don't have a lot to say. Rabbi Dan, thank you for coming. It's been a time of mixed emotions for me, because I wasn't able to be here in the end. I love my grandma. She knew that I was in Colorado. She always asked when I was coming back. I always told her as soon as I could. It's a shame that it's now. But I'm happy that she's resting now. Thank you.
Rachel Findlay.
I thought I'd share a story for everyone about Grandma. It was... I was trying to think of what to say, and I thought this kind of summed up how I'll always remember Grandma. But I remember once Grandma was visiting, she said, "Remember, always put your arms out for a big finish." She said this to 5-year-old me as I was finishing singing Mr. Moon, a song that she had taught me for the 1,000th time. "Goes by," I said, extending my arms out wide, to which Grandma replied, "Wonderful." "Sing it again for me." So I started rendition number 1001. Grandma had a way of making everyone feel so special and loved. She always had a moment for every song or story, and she remembered every one of my friends and always made sure to check not just on me, but on how my friends were doing as well. And this wasn't just for polite conversation. She genuinely cared about everyone she met. I remember Grandma took me to buy my first homecoming dress. After looking at a ton of dresses, we decided on a gown made of black and white silk. We were walking out of the dressing room when she heard a girl also shopping for dresses yell to her mom, "I hate all of these. Nothing looks good on me." Grandma had us stop, walk back into the dressing room, and then she asked the girl if she would show her a few of the dresses. And to my surprise, the girl said sure, and came out in a huge gown. You know, the early 2000s kind that were really big and covered in butterflies? Grandma looked at it and said, "Okay, is there another one you like?" The girl returned to her stall and came out again in a more elegant pink satin dress. "Oh, honey," Grandma said, "your mother is going to have to chase all the boys away from you with that one." And with that, the girl we had met only a few minutes ago smiled and walked to the register with the gown my grandmother had helped her pick out. I will forever remember Grandma this way. Always loving, always helpful, always caring of everyone. And I'm going to miss her a lot. But I'm also so thankful that I had her in my life, and I'd like to think that with all of the love she gave during her lifetime, the world is a little kinder, a little softer, and a little better because she was here. Thank you.
James Christensen.
I knew I probably wouldn't be able to keep it together unless I typed something out. And as I wasn't able to have Grandma there to help me write it as she often did. I forced my sister to help me with the proofreading process. Grandma always had a knack for making people feel loved and important, even if they'd only been strangers, or even if they'd been strangers only minutes before meeting her. She had an impeccable sweetness, a listening ear unmatched by anyone else. I have childhood friends who still to this day, and even soon after meeting her, they would stop referring to her as James's grandma. Instead, to them, she would just be grandma. Though they had barely met her at the time, her kindness and warmth had made them feel like family. And when I say she'd listen, she truly listened. I remember spending many an after-school afternoon at Grandma's home when she went out of her way to make it feel like a second home to me. And she would always be eager to listen to me talk about my day, even if I wasn't always patient enough to listen back. With Grandma, even if I was frantically describing one of my many childhood obsessions that often confused adults, such as my Pokemon addiction or making masterpieces in Windows Movie Maker, she'd still always keenly listen. And when I asked what she thought about said interests, she'd smile and she'd respond, "That's wonderful." And as I got older, Grandma continued to be there for me, always eager to listen and always eager to offer me advice whenever I needed it. I'm sure many others feel the same. It wouldn't matter if I was talking about a high school relationship, or asking about what color bow tie went best with a certain color shirt, or seeking advice on if I should move to another country for college. Grandma was always there. And eventually, I moved far away. But I often thought back to those childhood afternoons at Grandma's house. Even if we had often gone out places on adventures together, it was the simpler moments that truly remained with me, such as Grandma telling me stories about my cousins while I snacked on French toast made out of hot dog buns in her kitchen. And originally, when I went to write this speech, I wanted to choose a big memory of Grandma to talk about here. But as I began to think, I realized it was the multitude of small moments that have added up to be more impactful than any one particular major moment. Life truly happens in those small moments. But still, there was one major event that sticks out to me, and it came when I visited her last year with my fiancée, the day after we got engaged. We'd gone to tell her the news, but little did we know it would be the last time we would see her together. And as we sat next to Grandma, even as she was then, and told her we got engaged, she began to cry softly, as she often did. And she gripped both of her hands tightly and loving, she turned to both of us. She said, "That's wonderful. I love you both." But, we laugh, but wonderful is perhaps the best and easiest way to describe Grandma. It was through filling the lives of those around her of many, many wonderful, often small moments that she ended up leaving the biggest impact. I think what I'm getting at here, as it gets more crumpled towards the bottom of the page, that life is often defined by the small moments. And I ask that everyone think back on not just the major parts of their lives that Grandma was a part of, but also times that perhaps were simpler and more seemingly mundane then. It are those that we always seem to take for granted. But despite that, those small moments help give life definition. And perhaps it are those that are the most wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Olivia Sachs.
I didn't really prepare much to say, but all I can say is since I turned 18, I've been going through a very hard time. I've been very lost in my life, but all I can say is I found that having family is very important, and I know I would not be able to get through all the things that I've been going through without my family. And Grandma, I always had, it's really true that Grandma was always a very kind person, and I know I could always go to Grandma, and I know I can always go to my family. have nothing, I know I have my family. That's all I can say.
Emily Sachs.
I also didn't really prepare much, but one of the biggest things I remember about my grandmother was the fact that she loved everyone around her, even if she didn't know them very well. But we don't live over here, so we never got to really see her all that much. But every time she saw me, she would ask me how I was doing. She'd take time to talk to you about your problems, what was going on, and she was just always there to listen. But one thing she would never forget to tell you was how much she loved you and how much she cared about you. And she would always ask my dad how many boyfriends my sister and I had, and she would never fail to make anyone happy. But I'm gonna miss her a lot.
Are there any other family members that would like to come up and say something? Ralph?
Sit on. You hear me?
Yeah.
I'm Sylvia's youngest. My name's Ralph Sachs. I'd like to thank everybody for coming today, and according to my sisters, I'm the favorite. My mother was such a wonderful person. I was fortunate enough to be holding her hand when she took her last breath. By God's grace, for a brief moment, I was back in Memphis. It was 1965 all over. Couldn't have had a better mother. When I tell you that my mother was a loving, caring person, it's an understatement. She was that good to us, and those were the happiest times of my life. And I just want everybody to know what she meant to us, and how much I cared for her, and how much I'm going to miss her. But Kevin, she will be at your wedding. I promise you that. And everybody that knew her knew exactly that everything I say is true. So thank you, Rabbi, also for everything that you've done. You've brought a lot of comfort to my family, and we appreciate it.
Sheila?
I'm Sylvia's daughter, Sheila, and my mother would want all of you to know that she is very appreciative and thankful that you are all here, because Mama always loved a good party, and she would be so happy knowing if she could see everyone here. And just on behalf of our family, I'd like to say thank you for everyone being here to help us celebrate our mother's life.
We will conclude the service at the chapel now. I'll recite the Kel Molei Rachamim, the traditional prayer, and after that we will proceed to